Hello. Let's get started, shall we? Hello. Hey, Evra. How are you? Disgusting. Right, I'm already kicking you out. That's disgusting. How are we this fine evening? I've just got some mini snowballs from Christmas to tide me over. Right then, where did we get up to? Oh shit. That was my own. Just want to turn my volume off. There we go. So you can hear the delay in my stream. I've got the comments up on my phone. That's why I'm so I've got that up so I can read people's comments whilst I'm ranking these things. So we got through all of 2016, 2017, 2018, didn't we? The last game we did was Uncharted 3. Now you'd think, given that, I started about halfway through 2016, and we've just done 2.5 years, that I'd have further to go in this video, but I've got literally about a page worth, as opposed to the page and a half we did last time. So I actually made a list of like how many games I started in every year. In 2021, we're not counting the 5 games. Oh, and technically one of them's in 2020 as well, because Witcher 3. I'm not counting the ones that I'm obviously already still working on. So I started 8 games in 2016, 20 games in 2017, 18 games in 2018, 12 games in 2019, 17 games in 2020, and 8 games in 2021. For a total of 83 games, if you're wondering. So there'll be 83 little boxes on this page. So we went from Saints Row 2 through to Uncharted 3 last time. So we're kicking off with our next entry. I feel we should be able to get through the vast majority of these pretty quickly, so I don't know if I'm going to be taking a break or anything like I did last time, because it might not even take us that long. I just want to get it finished off. But our next one, hey adrenaline, our next game is actually Uncharted 4. So we did Uncharted 3 last time. We're moving into Uncharted 4, which is, there we go. And I believe this is actually probably the second best. It's debatable. I'd rate it very closely to Uncharted 2. Whether I'd prefer it or not is I haven't really made up in my mind. I liked them both for very different reasons. Like, I like the style and the gameplay of Uncharted 1 to 3, like the Nathan Drake collection, and the certain, like the combat and everything like that. And Uncharted 4 was very different, and it feels very much more fine polished in a way. So also like the Tomb Raider remake for the 2013, and then the Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider. I can't remember which order that one's in. But I really like this one. Obviously introduced Troy Baker to the obviously, you know, you've got to have Nolan North and Troy Baker playing off each other because they're like the two most iconic video game actors. So we got him as is it Sam? It's not Sam, is it? I can't remember. It says a lot. I just rating this game so much, and then it's like I forget what the bloody character's name is, but you know how I mean. Nate's brother. It was very good. I think the villain, was it Rafe? Is that what his name was? I think he was kind of on the weaker side. It came across as a bit like a spoiled brat kind of thing, but the whole sort of epilogue to Nate's story I think was very good. So I think I'm going to put it... I'm going to put it with Uncharted 2, just whether or not I put it above or below. I'm going to put it above. You know what? Screw it. That's where I'm putting Uncharted 4. So yeah, very good. So that was on March the 7th, 2019. And on the same day, we started Saints Row 4. So let's grab you. Let's grab you. So of course this is also it's quite a good game in its own right. Saints Row 4, I think. Even though it's Sam, it was Sam. Did I say Sam? I think I said Sam, didn't I? Yeah. I still think it's a good game, even playing on your own. I think it's very much an enjoyable game. I think it's a little bit, I don't know. I didn't like it as much as Saints Row the Third. I remember, like, because this is the first Saints Row that I pre-ordered, because I love Saints Row the Third, and I got this one. I still enjoyed it. I still think it was a good game, but it's still very much sort of, there's not an awful lot to it. Like, obviously, you're just fighting aliens. It takes the gangs out of the game completely, other than the Saints. And Zinyak. I mean, Zinyak is a very charismatic enemy, I suppose. You know, but obviously you got to give the role to the British, because we do villains better than anywhere else. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And obviously bringing back Johnny, which was what we all wanted, and all that stuff. But you know, the superpowers were kind of OP, and I like they did have fun with the powers, and they definitely got all the use out of them with like the mini games and stuff like that. But I don't think I could put it anywhere near Saints Row the Third. And again, it does get bonus points because I did play this with Ron, and that just made the experience that much more fun, and we had a ton of fun with it. But it was also very grindy in places, like those stupid bloody side missions you do for Kinsey, where you're literally just hacking. You do like about 25 stores in the space of like 40 minutes, and just like, come on guys, like separate it out a little bit. So yeah, so I think I'm gonna do I put it in lower end of great, or do I put it top of okay? That's the sort of area. It's definitely better than meh and shy, definitely, but it's between these areas. I'm gonna put it. See, I prefer Half-Life. Do I prefer Heavy Rain? That's it. Yeah, I'm gonna put it there. Sorry, Calhoun, you were just all in one. But yeah. I think that's a safe spot for the Germans. No, come on. The Germans are the stereotypical villain. The British are the true. We're the villains. We're the villains. We can play the villains at the very least. Okay, Assassin's Creed Liberation HD. Well, if you've watched me play this game, you know my thoughts on this. I'm not a big fan of Assassin's Creed Liberation HD. I think the protagonist, Eveline de Grandpré, is probably one of the better parts of this game. I think she's a very good assassin. I quite like the concept of being able to switch up between the assassin and then the lady and then the slaver as well. So it was quite an interesting concept to switch between three. Again, it had those stupid AC3 map design where it's like the synchronizing points doesn't open up everything, and then just like how AC3 had the frontier, this one's got the bio, which just makes a huge pain in the ass. And I also did have to spend quite a lot of time grinding those convoy things for the ships, because you need a lot more money than you can get normally through gameplay. But that's not a big deal, because I usually just sent them off and then went about doing something else and then came back to it. So wasn't that big a deal. The story was kind of meh, I think, in regards to Assassin's Creed storylines. Obviously, you've sort of got your oblivious father who doesn't know what on earth you're doing, and you're looking for your mother, who turns out has just been living. Well, I think was she enslaved? I can't remember. Or was she? I think she was enslaved, wasn't she? And she was living in that Chichen Itza or something. I can't remember what it was called. And yeah, obviously it turned out the stepmother was a Templar, almost very fairy tale like Cinderella, that sort of thing, where the stepmother's the evil one sort of thing. But yeah, I wasn't a massive fan of the storyline to this one, but you know, it wasn't awful, so it doesn't deserve to go in shite, but I wouldn't really put it anywhere near these, I suppose. And then we move on to a far superior Assassin's Creed title, Black Flag, which I would go as far as to say is probably, is it amazing or top of great? That's a good question. See what I put about Walking Dead? No, Saints Row 2, probably not. San Andreas final season. Would I rate above Bully? No. Saints Row 3, no. Skyrim. No. I think we'll put it there. I think we'll put Edward between Skyrim and Uncharted for me. It was a very good game, and a lot of people just say like it's a good pirate game, but it's not a good Assassin's Creed game. And you know, I don't know about that. Like, I mean, definitely it takes a while for Edward to become an assassin. He doesn't do that till the very end of the game, really, and he meets them about halfway through, and they're all pissed off at him because he's been killing them, just because the Templars offer him more money, sort of thing. So yeah, but I think Edward actually turns out to be, by the end of his story, to be one of the greatest assassins, like at least with the core principles of one. Even if it does take him a while, but as a game on its own, even if it's not within the Assassin's Creed franchise, I think it's an amazing game. The naval combat's amazing. The naval exploration, the sea shanties. There's a lot to do side mission wise and collectible wise, but I like that, so that's not going to be a complaint from me. Legendary ship battles. The storyline is really good, and obviously meeting actual famous pirates like Blackbeard and Benjamin Hornigold and Mary Read and Anne Bonny and Calico Jack and Black Bart and everything like that. It's really cool, like just how many pirates they can build into this thing, and the actual story of how piracy came to an end and that sort of thing. It's very good, and it's very touching as well. Like, I think the best Assassin's Creed games are the one that actually tug on your heartstrings a little bit. And especially when you get towards the end, and then you realise just how many of before he became an assassin, all of Edward's pirate buddies have not seen the end of the story, sort of thing. And that last scene when they're in the cove and Bonnie's singing about was it Through the Looking Glass, that song, or the parting Filter the Parting Glass or something like that. And then he sees all of his dead friends. I think that, oh my god, that gets to me every time. But it's an amazing game, Black Flag, and yeah, I rate it very highly. Now we move on to our next GTA title, The Lost and Damned. Where are you? Here we are with Johnny Klebitz. Where's my... Oh, pick it up. I actually quite enjoyed this one. I'd never played the episodes from Liberty City before doing them for YouTube, so I had to actually plan out all like my strategy, so I knew everything that I had to do, and I did enjoy it. It was quite short, obviously, and you were still in Liberty City. And I like that all the DLCs for GTA 4 tie into the story. It all like revolves around the diamonds. That especially considering all three games, I guess if you consider them separate games, all involve that mission in the museum where you get the crossover of Nico, Johnny, and Lewis as well. So obviously exploring the Lost, which also impacts GTA 5 as well, which I'd played GTA 5 before any of these, so it was nice meeting, like, obviously I knew Johnny was because I played GTA 4 before GTA 5, so I knew Johnny was a character in that, but obviously, is it Terry and Clay? Then is it Jimmy, the other guy, the one who ends up dying in like the second to last mission? Yeah, I rate it really high. I don't rate it as high as GTA 4. I think that would be pretty cruel of me to do so. It's definitely deserving to be in the great territory, though. I'd say, is it above GTA 3? I'd say it's above GTA 3. Is it above Uncharted 3? Yes. Above Half-Life Episode 2? Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say there. I'd say there's a good place for Johnny Klebitz and The Lost. So yeah, that was on... I keep forgetting to say the dates that we're doing these. Black Flag was June the 8th, 2019, and Lost and Damned was June 20th. So there we go. And then on the next day, June 21st, it's weird how many series end up starting almost like back to back with each other. We actually start our final Uncharted game, The Lost Legacy, with Chloe and... Oh, what's she called? She's the one who was the sort of the secondary antagonist of Thief's End, and then at the end she becomes disillusioned and leaves the both of them. Is it Nadine? Is that what her name was? I feel like it begins with N. Yeah, and then obviously Sam also crosses over into this game towards the end as well, and you're exploring India and the ancient sites, everything like that, and it was a good game. I really enjoyed it, and I hope that if they do make another Uncharted game, it's in this style. I don't know if it's going to follow... it is Nadine, isn't it? Nadine Ross, I think is what she was called. I hope it follows Chloe. I think she was a very interesting character, definitely one of my favourites from Uncharted 2 and 3. So I'd actually rate it above Uncharted 3, to be honest. I'd put it... Just call Laura... Oh, exactly. Laura Bailey. This is an absolutely iconic... she's probably the most famous female voice actress for games, I think, maybe. You know, you got Nolan North and Troy Baker and actually those probably the main two, I'd say, and then Laura Bailey and Ashley Birch and stuff like that for females. I'd put Uncharted Lost Legacy. Where to put you? I'd say here. I think that's a safe place for Lost Legacy. Like, yeah, it's definitely something I want to revisit, because I actually only played this and Thief's End the one time, which I did for the channel, so I need to do like trophy wrap-ups and stuff like that, so I can do like a proper play through of it like more casually. So that should be fun. But yeah, Uncharted Lost Legacy was a really great game, and I hope that if they do continue to make Uncharted games, which obviously it's been a long time since they made Lost Legacy, so I don't know, maybe the film that's coming out will reinvigorate interest, or it will kill off interest completely. I'm inclined to think the latter, but we'll have to see. But if they do, I hope it's in that style. I hope they keep Nate out of them, Nate and Sully. Well, maybe not Sully. I'd like to see Sully, but I hope they keep, because of the epilogue of Uncharted 4. I think it's nicer that that's the ending that he got. So on July the 19th, we started Batman Arkham Origins, which is over here. And another great game. None of the main entries for the Arkham series are bad. Like, a lot of people shit on AC Origins for absolutely no reason. I don't get it. It's probably my least favourite of the four, but that, in comparison to other games, like, that is still very good, because I think all the Batman games are really good. Well, I say all of them. There's one that is coming up that I'm not as big a fan of, but AC Origins is a very good game, and I very much liked it, even though they didn't have Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill as Batman and Joker. I still think it was a great game, and it does stand out a little bit when you compare it to Asylum City and Night, mostly because of the fact, obviously, it's an origin story and the fact they have different voice actors, but I still really enjoyed it. So I'm going to put it above Asylum, so that's narrowed it down a bit. It's definitely still going great. I'm going to put you... There we go. So I feel like all this sort of back end has just been really dominated to just keep pushing it along and along. But it's a good sign that the vast majority of the games I've played are all staying in amazing and great, isn't it? So yeah. Anyway, Outlast was our next one from July 25th. Where are you? Outlast, a very good horror game. I really enjoyed Outlast. I think. Do I prefer it to? I actually, yeah. You know what? I actually like this more than Amnesia. I'm gonna say that much. I actually really enjoyed this. Obviously, the mental hospital is sort of atmosphere is definitely one that's well suited for a horror game. I'm surprised it took them this long. There might be other games. This is sort of like a more professional version of, but it was very good, and the villains were quite scary. And I had a lot of fun with this one. It wasn't something that I was absolutely terrified by. I don't think, unless, I mean, I might be misremembering. There wasn't a particular moment that really scared me on this. There'd be moments that I'd get my heart racing. Obviously, when they start chasing you and stuff like that, it's it can get quite scary. But it was a ton of fun. I really enjoyed this game, and yeah, I really did. So where am I going to put you? That's a good question. I do rate it quite highly, to be honest with you. So I'm probably going to put it top end, maybe there. I think. Yeah, a very I think in yeah, even you played. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I loved Outlast. Me. I'd actually seen a good portion of it before. It wasn't completely blind because I'd actually played. Well, I'd not played. I'd watched sort of like part of it with my friends at university when we were living together. We did play a bit of it just for fun between us all. So I knew about certain sections, like with Traeger, you know, the guy with who ends up cutting like your fingers off and stuff like that. Like I think it was a Dr. Traeger and stuff like that. But there was only sort of like a little gap in the middle part that I'd seen, and then the rest of it was blind. And also, I should absolutely give credit to Whistleblower as well. The DLC was fantastic, and yet also so gory. Oh god, that whole subsection with that guy just wanted to make the perfect bride or something like that, and he was yeah, even thinking about it's making me feel a little bit ill. But yeah, that was a fantastic DLC as well. So yeah, definitely. If you've played Outlast and not played the DLC, definitely play the DLC. That's all I'm going to say. It's fantastic. Now we can move on to the Ballad of Gay Tony. So here we go, our second to last GTA game and the last of the GTA 4 trilogy. And I think this is better than Lost and Damned, straight up. I think Lewis was a very well-rounded protagonist and very likable. And obviously the storyline with Gay Tony was very interesting. And again, it tied in with the diamonds, and it added more interaction with what's he called? The guy turned to be like sort of like one of the main bads is like of GTA 4. The guy who actually has the diamonds. Oh my god, I'm so terrible with names, aren't I? No, it's not coming to me. Maybe it'll come to me later on and just be like, that's his bloody name. But yeah, the Russian guy, basically. So yeah, he played quite a big part in it as well. But yeah, this was just another great game, to be honest. Not much more that can be said. Also, the is it Yusuf? Is that what his name was? Or something like that. The Middle Eastern guy who's just very charismatic and very charming and everything. I loved him as well. He was fantastic. So I'm gonna put you probably there. Yeah, sorry, Clem, you've been shoved down a few times today, haven't you? But it is what it is. So that was August the 7th, 2019. And next we move on to October the 4th, The Witcher. I really enjoyed The Witcher. In my own time, I played this. So I played Alien Isolation. Yeah, well, Alien's coming up not too far away. Yeah, Witcher. I played. I think I just about played the Kaer Morhen bit at the start on my own, like about maybe a year or so before I actually did it as a Let's Play, just so I could see the sort of style of it. And I went into it like, I am enjoying this, but I'm not sure how well this will last, depending on how long the game is. And because it turned out to be, was it 62 episodes in total, or somewhere in the 50s, something like that. And it was very much that, it was point and click for the most part of it, and fighting and stuff like that. But honest to God, I really enjoyed this game. It was a lot better than I even thought it was going to be, and I rated it quite highly before I'd even started it. Obviously, this ignited my interest in the Witcher series, something that is a lot stronger now that I've played. Obviously, where would I say that I'm up to in Witcher 3 now? I'd say maybe around halfway. Hopefully higher, hopefully further along than that. Maybe not, I don't know. But we've basically done out most of Novigrad, and they've just got Skellige, and then it's the main story. What I'm thinking is that because I've already explored the areas, if I'm rounding up quests, it'll be just dipping around rather than having to explore new areas. So, but I've not read them. I've played those. I've seen the first two series of the Netflix series, and I really want to get into reading the books as well soon. But yeah, I love this whole sort of universe, and this was what ignited it. So, thank you, Geralt. Where will we put you? Definitely in great again. This list is going to end up being longer and longer. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I should be more critical of games, but yeah, I just can't. I can't not put The Witcher in great games. I'll put it there. I think maybe. I don't know. It's only going to go higher. That's what I'm thinking. No, I'm happy with that. Okay, yeah. Witcher 1 is where that will go, and I very much enjoyed The Witcher 1. So yeah. Next up is Soma, down here, which I actually ended up getting because one of my friends, Matt, who, if you've seen the Resident Evil series, you'll know he was a co-host on that one, recommended that I get because it was on, I think it was going for free on PlayStation Network. I think this is in like 2018, or it might have been 2019 actually, and he said you might as well get this if you want to play a horror game, which I think this is sort of like half horror, half thriller. It's not. I wouldn't really rate this in the same way that I'd rate like Outlast and Amnesia in terms of horror. There were definitely horror vibes, but it was more of it was like a mystery kind of thing, isn't it? And it's very sci-fi heavy, and the whole concept of like artificial intelligence and that sort of thing, and then them being so highly developed that they didn't know that they were artificial intelligence or that they were robots. They still had the personalities of the humans that had been placed into them. It was a very interesting concept. What have we got? Not just to infect the whole landscape of the first game. Very funny. Very good. No, I think that's what makes that game so good, is that I didn't devastate anyone with plague, but you know. Overall, though, I think I'd put it in okay. The story itself and the message that it had was very interesting. The gameplay was sometimes very complicated, and there were sections sometimes that I was stuck on for ages just because I didn't know what I was doing. Particular memory that keeps coming back to me is when you're on the ocean floor and you've got to make your way across the things. I had to end up having to look up a guide because I had no idea what I was doing, and I was there for literally probably about an hour, wandering about, just wondering what to do. So it doesn't hold your hand at all, and it was very tricky. I'd still rate it probably there. I think is where I'd put Soma. But yeah, the storyline itself was very good, and I think that's what's pushing up to this point. Otherwise, it might be in like meh. I think for the gameplay, because it was quite tricky in places, but I enjoyed the story that it had to tell at the very least. So yeah, that was on November the 5th, 2019. And then we move on to December 14th with Grand Theft Auto 5. So we're finally here with Franklin, Michael, and Trevor. What am I thinking? I'm thinking great, definitely, at the very least. I think I'm putting this above. I rated above GTA 4. I think this is fun. This is the equivalent of GTA 4 is like Saints Row 2, in the sense that sorry, no, it's like Saints Row 1 in terms of it's like completely serious. I think this is more like the balance of Saints Row 2, where it's like a good mix of humour. It's still very fun and quite easy-ish, I'd say. Especially, it's not as difficult as GTA 4 by a long shot, but it's something you can have a lot of fun with and just sort of sit back and play around with. And yeah, there's not really a lot of. It's not really a bad nothing. I don't think, unless I'm misremembering. I don't think I am. You don't really have like catastrophic losses or anything like that in this game like you do in GTA 4 and stuff like that. It's relatively happy-go-lucky kind of. You're doing heists and you're getting money and you're building friendships and breaking them and reforming them and killing all the bad guys kind of thing. And a lot of people consider that, especially big fans of GTA 4, were a fan of the fact that GTA 5 went so much back to its sort of classic, just have a good time vibes. But I enjoyed this game, really. I do. And it was one I was very much looking forward to playing on the channel and giving it the love it deserved. So it's definitely getting a good rating on this for me. I think it's just a blast, this game. So I'm going to put GTA 5... yeah, you know what? Do I rate it higher than AC4? I think I'm going to put it there. GTA 5, sorry. A lot of fun. That's all I can really describe that game as. It's not something that is really too complicated. I sort of went into each episode knowing what I was going to do. And, you know, they occasionally had missions that had awkward mission objectives for 100%. That kind of thing, and getting gold medals. But other than that, honest to God, it was just fun. And then I just went into saying, now I've got GTA 5 recording next, you know, just to sort of chill back and not have to worry about spending like an hour and a half playing it, because I know it's not going to take me that long, sort of thing. It was nice and easy for me. So yeah, that's where I'm going to put GTA 5. Then we come to Outlast 2, which it was our first game of 2020 in January 22nd. Where are we? Where's Outlast 2? Where can I find that? Oh, there we go. I'll be completely honest, I was quite disappointed with Outlast 2. I think it didn't have the same vibe as Outlast 1 in terms of horror. It was more gory, I think. You know, the whole thing about just like mass murdering children and stuff like that. They were going for the controversial marks, I think, and I still enjoyed it as a game, but it was sort of I had a good I had a lot of hope in this game, considering how much I enjoyed the first one, and it didn't quite live up to it for my liking. I don't think the monsters were as memorable. I remember that bloody woman kept coming around and just going like, "Yes, Lord, like a pig," that sort of thing. But honestly, like I said, it was still enjoyable. It wasn't a bad game, but I wouldn't rate it anything too much really. So I'd probably put it maybe here. I think is this safe place for Outlast 2. If you guys have seen these series and you thought anything differently, then please do let me know. I'd quite like to hear what you guys thought of some of these games that I'm trashing or over glorifying. But yeah, Outlast 2 is a bit of a disappointment for me. I don't think it didn't have a DLC either, did it? So nothing like a whistleblower to save it or anything like that. Or if it did, it wasn't memorable enough for me to acknowledge it. But yeah, it was very gory and it was very much a very edgy sort of thing. But yeah, it just wasn't quite for me, I don't think. So February 10th, 2020, we began Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry with Adewale, one of the most badass Assassin's Creed characters. Obviously, it's a DLC, really, so I can't really rate it on the same level as... Definitely not like as high as Black Flag or anything like that. It was good. I think, what was it, only 8 episodes long or something like that? There are some sort of iffy decisions about this game that I didn't really acknowledge at the time, and really in hindsight to be like, oh yeah, that's kind of weird, where basically slaves are used, despite the fact that obviously the intention of the game is to liberate as many slaves as you can, they are used as a currency. It is, once you've freed this number of slaves, you get these bonus rewards. It's like, well, you should be freeing them out of the goodness of your heart as a decent human being, rather than thinking, oh, if I free 50 more slaves, I'll get a blunderbuss upgrade or something like that. So it was a bit weird in that sense, and the story was very short. Was it like 7 memories long or something like that? And even then, it's like you have to save this many slaves to open up this mission, and you're thinking like, yeah, it's a bit weird. But still, you know, you get some extra time with Adewale, and you know, him being a badass and everything like that. So I'd still rate it. I'd say probably not too high though, because it was quite basic. I really liked Outlast 2 in the beginning, mostly because the character friendly and the voice. Yeah, that's true as well. It actually had like a character rather than just being someone with a camera sort of thing. Yeah, I was completely lost by the ending. I don't know what the fuck was going on, to be honest. I think they lost the plot as well. I think I probably maybe put it there. I think Freedom Cry. That's just purely for Adewale, to be honest. He's a great character, but the game around him is very much sort of iffy, I think. It's the best way I could describe it. So yeah, as I was saying before, we have finally reached Alien Isolation. And automatically this is going up the top end, no matter how much this game pissed me off on occasion. It was a very good game. I can't lie. I'm going to put it there, actually. That's very highly rated for me. This game annoyed the hell out of me on occasion because it was hard. And it was a game that definitely required more patience than I'm probably willing to donate to a game. And that's mostly because I like moving stuff along, and I'm fearful of videos getting boring if I'm just stuck in the same section for too long. I kind of like want to keep moving forward with it. And this is a game where it's very much you need to take your time and stay in cover and keep away from the xenomorph kind of thing. But that aside, obviously the AI for the xenomorph was amazingly done, and I've actually looked like a lot into how they developed this game and the gameplay mechanics that they programmed into the xenomorph, and it'd be sort of like if it'll detect patterns in the way that you hide or where you hide in places, or certain things that you'd use or tools and stuff like that, and it would become more resistant to you so that you can't just keep using the same tricks against it. It'll progressively get more difficult to deal with as the game goes on, which is fascinating to deal with and everything like that. But I actually played this game before I'd watched the film Alien, so I went into it thinking like it was just a really cool retro looking spacecraft kind of thing, and I enjoyed like the aesthetic of it. But I played the game, then I watched Alien. I think I watched Alien before I finished the game. I think it was when I was about reaching the DLCs for it. That's when I decided to watch it, and I was like, oh my god, like they've really nailed like the look of Sevastopol compared to the Nostromo from the actual film itself. And obviously one of the DLCs takes place is basically like a complete recreation, other than the cat, of Ripley escaping from the Nostromo and stuff like that. I thought I really had a good time with this. As much as it's caused me so much grief, it's definitely, I can't take that away from the game. It was truly a remarkable experience. Right, on to our next Assassin's Creed game, which we began on March the 16th, Assassin's Creed Rogue. So we're nearly done with Assassin's Creed now, which means we're getting there. I really enjoyed Assassin's Creed Rogue. I actually think I enjoyed it probably more than Black Flag, even though this is obviously sort of like a clone of Black Flag. I'd rate it. We're spend amazing. I'm gonna put you. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna put you there. For the story alone, even as brief as it was 6 sequences long, wasn't it? But this expanded on something I really enjoyed in AC3, like I said in the last stream. Of them making the Templars more complex than just the basic villains, which they sort of reverted back to with Black Flag. But I think this was a very interesting, obviously more so than AC3 when you were still playing as the assassin. You just had the relationship with Haytham as the Templar, whereas this game you are the Templar, and you totally understand Shay's reasons for becoming a Templar, because you're sort of the assassins, at least in this point with the Colonial Brotherhood, were very much before the fall, which obviously this game sort of tells a story of. They were way too sort of nonchalant about the ways they were doing things. They're sort of like, yeah, we've got America, we could just do what we want, really. And then obviously start messing around with the precursor artifacts, and of course it causes the Great Lisbon Earthquake of 1755, which Shay understandably gets pissed about because he's technically responsible for that, but he's on the orders of the assassins, and they seem to sort of just completely ignore him on that. They just say, well, it's for the greater good. It's like you wiped out a city of like 20,000 people, and they're just sort of like, oh, get out of my sight, you're clearly wrong about this. So yeah, obviously it shows the complete arrogance of Achilles, and even Adewale, and Liam, and Hope, and Kasagawase, and everything like that. I thought this was a very good game, and as much as it was sort of like let's just put a frost filter on Assassin's Creed 4 and everything like that, I still thought it was a really great game, and one that I have a lot of fondness for. So definitely underrated at the very least. I think a lot of people skip this game entirely because obviously this came out the same day as Unity, and this was sort of like at the time to sort of ease over the old gen on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and then later to get remastered. So a lot of people haven't played this game. I really recommend that they do. If you've not played it, definitely play Rogue. It's a fascinating game. Now we come on to the black sheep of the Arkham games, Arkham Origins Blackgate. Automatically, I'm sorry, it's better than Half-Life Decay, but it's just, oh my god, like. It might have worked well on the game the way it was intended, which was of course for it was a handheld game, and it was nice that they managed to port it to the PC. I don't know if it's ported for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, that sort of thing, but I think it was very clunky, and I wasn't a big fan of it, to be honest, at all. And then when I was streaming it on Twitch, I sort of had to force myself to do it because it was, yeah, it's rough. It is rough. Interestingly, I think this is the introduction of Batman to Catwoman, at least in the Arkhamverse. And the actual storyline there is decent. It sets up the Suicide Squad, which it never actually brings back. I mean, I know they're doing a Kill the Justice League Suicide Squad game that's meant to be coming out this year. Whether or not it does or not, I don't know. But it sets that up at least, and obviously with Deadshot and everything like that. But obviously it focuses on Red Penguin and Black Mask and the Joker, but yeah, it's just doesn't really do anything for me. Arkham Origins Blackgate. I don't know how other people feel about it, but it's just not for me, to be honest. And that was on May the 5th, 2020, and on June the 16th. Just after the whole fiasco with Alien Isolation and it driving me up the wall, and I needed a game to calm me down. what better game to play than a childhood classic like The Simpsons Hit and Run? Like, my God, this game just it'll never not be a favourite of mine. It's so fun. Like, really, especially someone who's a fan of The Simpsons as a sort of thing. Like, for the most part, obviously there's tons of references to the TV show in this, and lots of Easter eggs, and obviously like the collector cards and everything like that. And it's a great game. Its own right. It really it gets all the characters very right, and obviously it's got all the original voice actors for all the characters, and it's just as funny as an episode of the glory days of The Simpsons is as well. And it's not easy. Like, it's not, obviously, it's easy-ish. Towards the end of the game, it does get very tricky, even to the point that I think there's probably some missions that I even had to redo. But yeah, the open world in this as well. Of course, this was in 2003, and then you had the whole area of Evergreen Terrace and downtown and around the Squidport area. The storyline itself, you know, typical Treehouse of Horror, you know, Kang and Kodos being villains and resurrecting zombies and everything like that. It's just good fun. And even though I think they got a little bit lazy in the last level with using this, basically doing the same mission 4 times back to back, it doesn't take away from the fact that this is an amazing game. To the point where I am going to put it in amazing. I'm going to put it there, actually. You know what? You know, we all worship The Simpsons Hit and Run in this household, and if you're going to chat shit because it's like, oh, it's a children's game, I don't care that I've had this game since I was about, how old would have been, 6 maybe. I think 2003 I would have, I don't think I got it immediately because I was born in 98. So yeah, so I would have been about 5 or 6 when I got this on the PlayStation 2 back in the day, and I loved it then, and I still love it now. And yeah, it's a ton of fun. And you know, if you don't stan Hit and Run, then leave. I'm joking, obviously. You can have your opinions, but Hit and Run is a love of mine. And yeah, talking about love, guess who's going to shoot up to the top of the list? Boom, Red Dead Redemption 2, which we began on June the 16th, 2020. Easily, at least at this very moment in time, it's going to be very hard to beat, the best game I have ever played. Utterly fantastic. I cannot rate this game highly enough. And I'm going to assume that... Oh, I know Ron hasn't finished it, of course, but I'm going to assume most people at least know of the core elements of this game. Everything Red Dead Redemption did, this did in spades and more. It was such a good game. And the fact that Arthur Morgan easily is like my favourite video game character of all time. Played beautifully by Roger Clark. Obviously not just completely acted, not just voice acting, it was motion capture for all the characters in this game. The entire Vanderlyn gang were fantastic characters, so well developed and so easy to fall in love with, other than a certain rat. But yeah, genuinely, you make such bonds with all the characters. This game, I think, maybe with the exception of possibly Kieran, I think everybody, all the characters in the Vanderlyn gang at the very least, got special moments of which you really bonded with them. And if they didn't make it through the story, yes, I'm 23 at the moment. I will be till, well, I say at the moment. So I'm quite still early into 23. I went to 24 till September, but yeah. So yeah, you have such a great bond with the characters, and then the ones that don't make it, it just makes it that much more heartbreaking when it happens. And this was the first game to actually make me cry on camera on YouTube. There were games that have made me tear up in the past, like Life is Strange and AC Revelations, and I don't know. I suppose I think I did tear up for Walking Dead the final season, but I think I absolutely blubbered when at the end of chapter 6. I'm still gonna be trying easy with the spoilers kind of thing, just in case there are people watching this that haven't played it, because I really want everyone to experience this game like completely blind if they can. I think when completely blind, I was following up on Ron for quite some time, and then when I overtook him, there were certain characters like Arthur who I knew what was going to happen, that sort of thing. I knew it was going to end with John, who, of course, the events leading into the first game as well. Yeah, it's just utter perfection. Hey, Ron. It's such a good game, and I'm so glad that I played it. And yeah, I have so much love for that game. It's beautiful. It really is. It's an absolute masterpiece. And they keep hinting that Red Dead Redemption is a franchise they are still going to keep invested with Rockstar, and I hope they do. You know, as much as I'm worried about them, you know, overstepping and then sort of almost ruining the thing about it. The more Red Dead is never going to be an issue for me. I want to see more of the Van der Linde gang. I may want to see him pre Blackwater Massacre. So yeah, if you didn't ugly cry at the end of Chapter 6, then I'm sorry, you have no soul. It was utterly heartbreaking. But yeah, Arthur at this very moment in time will always hold the position at the very top of my list as my absolute favourite video game protagonist and character and everything. Just I love. Yeah, so now we come to what we started on June the 26th, was The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings. It really goes to show how long Red Dead 2 was, with the amount of games that I end up starting and finishing over the course of that series, because obviously Red Dead 2 is probably one of the more recent series that I finished. And yeah, we're going to go through like a ton of like games now like that I'm still doing Red Dead 2 alongside. So we come to The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings. There we go. See, we've only got a few left to go now. I wasn't a huge fan of this game, I'm not going to lie. I think it was very lore heavy, and a lot of the time I just wasn't really invested in this game to the point where there was so many options to talk about with people, and then it was just all like quite deep stuff about like the lore of this game, and before at this point I wasn't really aware of anything like that, the politics of the Witcher universe, which I'm more familiar with now, probably still not enough to be classed as anywhere near an expert of, but I understand the thing about the continents and the northern kingdoms and the fight against the Nilfgaard Empire and stuff like that. Then obviously you still got the characters like Foltest and Henselt and Letho and stuff like that. So I know a lot. I'm probably a lot more familiar with the story now, but a lot of it's in hindsight. So I've like gone back and sort of like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. This is like the Lodge of Sorceresses. I had no idea what the Lodge of Sorceresses was about at this time. It's definitely something that's a lot easier to understand if you've watched or read the sort of pre-game universe and then the whole thing with Ciri and everything like that. Yeah, don't worry about it, the Papa. I'm just basically rambling about shit at this point. But yeah, so I'll admit when I was playing it, I wasn't a massive fan of it. It did introduce some cool characters. Obviously, we got more Triss. Introduced us to Roach, who is one of my favorite Witcher characters, and Letho to an extent as well. Obviously, Geralt began getting his memory back a little bit, and remembered Yennefer and everything like that. That's sort of like a subplot as well, where he tries to regain his memories. So I think I'm going to put it... I'll probably put it at the top of okay for now, honestly. It might be a game that's worth me revisiting at some point. I mean, there's a lot of achievements I never end up getting because I end up going down not the Flaming Rose, is it? Like with the blue stripes, and sided with Roach rather than Yorveth. There's the Scoia'tael, which obviously I've been sort of following the anti-Scoia'tael path as I've been playing through the game, starting with us joining the Flaming Rose in The Witcher 1. But the Scoia'tael are definitely an organisation, if I can speak words, that I've just recently finished season 2. I actually really enjoyed it, to be honest. I ended up rewatching season 1 just before the season 2 came out, so I was sort of making my way back through that, and then I binge watched like season 2 in like about 2 or 3 days. I actually really enjoyed it, to be honest. But yeah, read the books before. Yeah, I should have done, to be honest. But the playable, they're still enjoyable games, even if you don't have the background context of knowing how about everything to do with The Witcher. But yeah, I definitely want to read the books. This has ignited my interest in reading them. But I'm really enjoying the show, to be honest with you. And especially with the more recent season, it's definitely given me reasons to be more sympathetic with the Scoia'tael, to the point that I've almost, looking back at it, how anti-Scoia'tael I was thinking like, oh, yeah, that's maybe not great. I mean, the elves were absolutely trodden on by the humans, but at the same time, I kind of find it hard to argue that, you know, it's complete anti-human war. Like, both sides are almost as bad as each other. And I'd say that because of the fact that I hate to sound like a fucking moderate or a centrist or anything like that, because I'm absolutely not, and I don't believe it. Like, oh, let's hear everyone's views. Like, no, the elves in the Witch universe have absolutely every right to hate humans with the way that they are treated. I'm just not sure the Scoia'tael are quite the way to go about it. But I am more sympathetic with them now than I was when I was playing it, because of the fact that I've got that background context of just how long the elves have been, how much hatred has been given towards that race. But yeah, you know, if I've got to make a choice, I'm going to go for the one that aren't terrorists. You know what I mean? Like, there's a huge amount of anti-elven sentiment in these games, even with like the vast majority of humans. It's not just like a minority and like the higher ups that have that hatred. It is very much ingrained into society, but it's not everybody. And also, you know, yeah. Anyway, I'm rambling. Do you plan to? I do plan on doing the GTA Stories games at some point. I just need to. I actually have it on like the sort of on my list of games to play. I just need to find a way to do it, to be honest. But now that I've got my PS3 up and running again for the Simpsons game, I think they're on the PlayStation Store, if I remember right. It's just I don't think it's been ported anywhere past the PlayStation 3. So maybe it'll now be available for something to do, at least like Liberty City Stories and Vice City Stories. I'm not sure about the other ones, but we'll see. 2 short story books. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely something I want to start reading very soon. Like, because the Netflix series has just sort of reignited my interest in it. So yeah. Anyway, we finally made it through our first page. We've just got that amount of games left, and the asterisk ones are the ones that are ongoing. So yeah, I could do it on the PC, can't I? But yeah, like I said, I think it's on the PS3. I remember seeing it there at some point, so I'll do it there. Yeah, so I've rambled long. It was more of a ramble about the entire Witcher universe rather than about Witcher 2 specifically, wasn't it? But yeah. Anywho. So yeah, we're on to Assassin's Creed Unity. Not long left to go now, don't worry about it. Is it some of those other game? Yeah, I tried playing. I tried playing GTA 1 on PC like a while ago. I had like the disc version. It just wasn't cooperating with my system. But maybe it's worth doing another try, or maybe trying one of the like the PlayStation 1 port or something like that, and try and emulate that. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we have Assassin's Creed Unity. Not a bad game. I think the storyline is a bit iffy. I don't know. I think it's. I mean, I liked what they were going for, and obviously the French Revolution is a very fascinating part of history to go alongside. But I also thought that I almost think that it got almost sort of sidelined for Arno and Elise's relationship. But I did quite like the sort of the unity between the Assassins of the Templar sort of thing. That it was almost like Germain was almost sort of like an extremist Templars, because extremist Templar, because the sort of almost not like sort of patched over the differences, obviously, because Francois de la Serre and what's he fucking called, Mirabeau. Obviously, he was the leader of the assassins. Were actually on good terms, and they were friends with each other to the point that they were willing to sort of build the relationship with Elise when it came to them making the unity to find out who was responsible for killing him. And then you obviously have Bellic as well, who's almost like the extremist assassin, who's like, we cannot make a deal with the Templars kind of thing. So it was a very good balance in that sort of regard. But you know, it had its issues. This game, the co-op was very difficult if you've not got like a full team, as I'm sure Ron will attest. And I'm very sure they had to put him through some of the crap they had to do with the co-op missions. It's like, oh yeah, we'll bring Ron on board for the missions and the heist and everything, and we'll be on it for so bloody long because they were so difficult. But yeah, I still think it's a good game, and obviously Paris is a very good setting for the game, and great landmarks. Obviously, it looked beautiful. It was a very good game, and there's a lot going for it that is good. But at the same time, it's tricky, and it gave my PC a bit of a battering. And yeah, like Everest says, the bloody Creed points. Oh my god, I don't think I've ever had to grind in a game more than I've had to do with this one. Because I ended up just doing the same thing. Because the most efficient way of doing it was like basically going to this point in Versailles where you're basically going up a wall and parkouring down it. You get like 300 Creed points every time. I'm sort of grinding them out so I can have enough points to upgrade everything. So yeah, GTA 6. Well, yeah. Well, if it comes out, yeah, that'll be great. So I did quite enjoy it, but I'd say maybe I think is my point for Assassin's Creed Unity, which we started on July 27th. I can't remember if I said that. Now we move on to Get Out of Hell, which I started on the 3rd of August, which is down here. Yeah, I think in the sort of similar pattern, just like with Saints Row 4, I think they've just been slowly getting poorer since Saints Row 2. So Saints Row 2 was like fantastic, and then Saints Row the 3rd was really good. Saints Row 4 was pretty decent. Get Out of Hell was just sort of like, yeah, it was alright, I suppose. I'm going to put it there, I think. Still an enjoyable game. Obviously, you get more of Johnny and Kinsey, basically two of the greatest, if not the two greatest protagonists, saints. And you're in hell, so yeah, maybe. But I suppose it's definitely the hype of the game for us. Just yeah, exactly. The Bellic was a much tougher fight than and a much more satisfying fight, I think, than with Germain. But yeah, so Get Out of Hell, yeah. So it was very basic. The story was very basic. It was basically how many times am I say basic in a minute? Who knows? But of course, you're working with Dane Vogel of all people, which was quite the surprise. And then you obviously have sort of partnerships with Viola and Kiki and Blackbeard and Shakespeare and who else was it? Vlad the Impaler, wasn't it? You're conquering other territories, but it was basically an activity simulator. Like the story was very basic. There we go again. It's basically. I can't even stop myself saying at this point. You're just going about and completing activities until you've pissed off Satan enough to have the final boss battle. So, there's not a lot going for it for the story. Again, this gets bonus points because I did it with Ron, which just made it a lot more fun. But I can't really rate it that highly because it was just an activity game, really. So now we move on to Doctor Who: The Edge of Time, which I started on August the 6th. So here we go. This is probably, at least from a technical standpoint, one of the games I'm most disappointed in. Well, specifically, one of the Let's Plays I'm most disappointed in because of the fact that I was testing out plays. This is actually the only game that I've done VR for at this point in time. And on my PlayStation 4, dearie me, it was getting old as it was, and even if you'd watched me played any previous PlayStation 4 games any time before it got loud, and it got particularly loud with this one to the point that I was going into this hoping it would be like something that I'd be really I had a lot of passion for, because if you don't know, I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. It is basically my franchise. I say that, and I think there's actually an episode actually broadcasting right this second that I'm doing this stream instead of watching. But I do love Doctor Who very much, and I went into this with with the intention of giving it the justice it deserved as being a video game based on my favourite franchise. And the vast majority of it was me dealing with the fact that you could barely hear a word I was saying because of the fact that my PlayStation 4 was getting so loud. And yeah, I also wasn't really properly set up for a VR space to the point where I occasionally get stuck on things, and because it's sort of awkward sometimes when you basically got to be looking into a camera, and then if you're sort of like bending down for something, you get out of view, and then it's like, oh my god, I can't detect what you're doing. What are you doing? So yeah, it wasn't from a technical standpoint, it wasn't that great. Story itself was decent enough. It felt very... I mean, I'm just waiting for them to do like a really good Doctor Who game, to be honest, because this sort of felt... It was a decent enough game, but it was fairly basic. It's just sort of like, okay, let's go get these puzzle pieces. Hey, you know what, you can have your Weeping Angels, which was definitely the best part of the game, was the Weeping Angel segment. That scared the crap out of me. I mean, if you go back and watch it, that bit when it caught me, and then I think I just screeched like shit or fuck or something like that. I said it's so loud, and I was thinking like, I really hope I didn't wake anyone up then, because otherwise I'm going to be getting bollocking. And I didn't, so I take it I didn't wake anybody up. But yeah, and the bit when you were in control of a Dalek, that was also quite cool. But other than that, it was quite basic. So I'm probably going to put that in okay as well. I wish I could put it higher. And they have actually sort of remade this game under the name The Edge of Reality, where I think it's no longer VR, and they've added in sections with the Cybermen, and also the 10th Doctor's in it as well. I don't know if I'm going to play that. If I do, it might be a little whiles away, just because it basically is like expanded and remastered, and so I don't know, but yeah, overall I think my experience with this game was I was kind of disappointed, so I think I'm probably maybe going to put it there. I wish I could put it higher. I'm just hoping that one day they do a proper, really good Doctor Who game, but we'll have to see. And on August the 25th, we did What Remains of Edith Finch. So let's grab you up. And I really enjoyed this game. Hang on, did I do Edith Finch? Okay, yeah. I'm just checking that, because I wonder, didn't I do Journey first? But no, I did Edith Finch first. This is actually a game that Ron recommended that I play. It was sort of a passing over, because I was intending to do Resident Evil, so he's a couple, because I was doing that with Matt and Ollie, and I ended up finishing the game that I think was Edge of Time was the one that I'd finished. I was expecting it to last longer and last into like September, October, when I'd obviously be around living with Matt and Ollie again. But I needed some extra games to pad me over, so What Remains of Edith Finch happened to be one of them. And it was a very good game. I'd say maybe I think for What Remains of Edith Finch, very short and sweet. Obviously, it's very much a video game as an art form kind of thing, where it's telling the story about the Finches and how they all seem to keep dying, and it's almost like a curse on the family, and then you're sort of exploring the lives of those who died through like their final moments and through like in the interactivity and all that. It was a very good game, and I highly recommend it for people to play, but it is very short, so I can't exactly put it up there with the great RPGs and everything like that, but in itself it was very short, very contained, but I really enjoyed it, so that is where I should put it. And so we move on to September the 7th with one of my more recent games to complete, Batman Arkham Knight. And I don't care what anyone says, it is the best Arkham game. I'm going to say that. I'm going to put it there, I think. Arkham Knight. I actually prefer it to Arkham City. I think the only sort of complaint that many people have is the gameplay revolving so heavily in the Batmobile. I didn't mind it. I thought it was fine, to be honest with you. And there's a lot of Riddler stuff, but again, I'm a collectible. I'm a nerd for collectibles, so I didn't mind that there's been so many of them at all. Really, I quite enjoyed doing the little collectathons and everything like that. Storyline was very good. Obviously involving the Arkham Knight himself, who I'm not going to spoil who it reveals that's who it is, because there might be people who haven't played the game. But it was a very great story. I really enjoyed the story. There were so many side missions that were really fulfilling, and sort of the final battles with Riddler and Penguin, and Two-Face and everything like that. They were all really great. I think the map in particular of Gotham was probably the best one that they ever did. Yeah, I just had so much fun with this, to be honest with you. And I think I felt most confident in this one because obviously the more I played the Arkham games, the more comfortable I got with the controls. And I think they might have made it a little bit easier in this game as well, to build up combos and stuff like that. But it was great. And then not even to talk about the DLCs and stuff like that, the episode packs and everything like that. Yeah, it was just a great time all around. And it was fantastic, and a series I had so much fun making. It was much like GTA 5 and Saints Row 3 for me, when I just sort of going into it like, yeah, I'm playing a bit of Batman. Just have some fun, take the pressure off. It's not something I have to worry about too much. So, yeah, Arkham Knight was my favourite, and as sad as I am that the Arkham games have come to a close, I'm hoping that Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League sort of carry on the mantle kind of thing. I don't know if it's going to be the exact same gameplay style and everything like that, but it was just a fun time all around. So yeah, Arkham Knight, there we go. Next one we started was Journey on September the 8th 2020. Here we go. See, we're nearly there now, nearly there, don't worry. And yeah, again, like Edith Finch, I thought it was a great little short video game as an art form kind of thing. I won't put it that high though. Let's say maybe there. I'd say perhaps because again it was very short. I think it was 2 episodes longer. They were 2 pretty long episodes to be honest. But sorry, yeah. I think it's still very much a great game, and obviously there isn't like any dialogue or anything like that, and it's basically about building the journey, which I wasn't completely sure as to whether it was a computer or an actual other person that you're basically joined you on the journey up the mountain kind of thing, and I later found out that it was actually another person. I think that's a really nice twist and everything like that, and it's very cool. And yeah, it was just short and fun really. There wasn't really much to it. It was just a good time. I think it just did for a couple of episodes, I suppose. So yeah, very good. September 22nd, 2020, we began our first Resident Evil game. And straight away, this already gets the bonus points to be doing it with Matt and Ollie, which made what was maybe a sort of a decent game, but nothing I'd probably shout out about. Made it so much fun and very nostalgic for this series. We had a great time with it. So I'm going to put this... yeah, I'm going to put it there. Which is, like I said, it would probably be around about the top end of okay, had it not been for Matt and Ollie making this series so much fun to play, and always such, always looking forward to recording sessions because you didn't know what was going to happen. We just have so much fun with it, and not only did I do a playthrough, Ollie did a playthrough, Matt did a speedrun. We got through that. It was, honest to God, it was just such a good time. It really was. It was very tricky in parts as well, and it doesn't hold your hand, and Matt certainly didn't. So, I'd go to him for advice and stuff. He'd occasionally drop me the very sort of subtle hints and stuff like that, but he wanted me to experience it as he experienced it, and I totally appreciate him for that. But that series was just, it's so much fun for us, and we take the mick out of it all the time. It's sort of like almost like an in-joke we make about Resident Evil games and stuff like that, because it was just great. Bloody Gormless Chris, the almighty vacant expression and everything like that. It was such a good time, and I really enjoy it. And it's one of the things I miss most about no longer living with the two of them, is the fact that we don't get to do Resident Evil all the time. I'm hoping we can jump back on it at some point and carry on with what, in my perspective, we were about halfway through Resident Evil 3 before we start. But it was a great time with the two of them, and I have a lot of love for that series just through my interactions with those guys. So yeah, ton of fun. And the next game we started is actually a game I'm not going to be ranking because it is still ongoing, and that is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, which we started on November 20th, 2020. So with the games, like I said in the last recording, the last stream I should say, with the games that I'm still going through, I'm probably going to try and give my overall thoughts on the game, where I'd probably put that game if I was putting it on there, but I'm not going to do it until I've completely finished the game, so I can have my totally uncorrupted views on it, and it's just thinking like, oh, this is so great so far, and then the entire last end of the game is a bomb. But Witcher 3 would definitely be going in the amazing tier, definitely. I'd say maybe between Brotherhood and City at the moment. It's, you know, it had a great reputation, and that was the game that made me start from the beginning, because I was like, I really want to play Witcher 3. Everyone's raving about Witcher 3, but I want to experience the whole thing, and I'm glad that I did. You don't absolutely have to. I think you can get away with as much. It's almost like starting The Witcher without the knowledge of the books. You can start The Witcher 3 without the knowledge of the two games. You might be missing some interactions and stuff like that, but it's very much one that you can start from there. But, you know, obviously Geralt's at his prime, and you get interactions with so many people, and it's so well developed, and the quests are really awesome and really fun to play with. And the maps are great and everything like that, and the characters are fascinating. Witcher 3 is just a really great game, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I can't wait to get back into it. And hopefully, like I said before, like, hopefully I'm more than halfway through the game, just because I like moving along with games and playing new stuff. But at the same time, it's a great game that I'm not having any burnout with whatsoever. It's something that I'm just having a ton of fun with, to be honest. So yeah. Then I jumped to the other end of the schedule with the game I started on December 22nd, 2020. Guise of the Wolf. Guise of the Wolf. Okie dokie. I'm actually going to put this at the top of shite at the top. You know, I'd say this is better than Blackgate and Half-Life Decay. It's so bad that it's almost in a way good. I think that's the best thing I can say about Guise of the Wolf. It was very much a sort of like, it was an experience. I don't really know what more to say about it, to be honest. It's terrible, but in a way that's just sort of so funny. The fact that I can't help but feel almost endeared by its very presence. It was just so bad, but it had so many iconic lines. Again, this is sort of like an in-joke with me, Matt and Ollie, because they're the ones that actually bought it for me. They're like, you are playing this game, you need to play Guise of the Wolf, it's amazing. And I played it, and then, you know, just so many things from this game. And we just have like jokes between each other about, and like quotes from it and stuff like that. It's just, I genuinely, I can't put it any higher than shite, because it is truly, it's a stain on the gaming landscape. But at the same time, my God, is it iconic? It's just such a vibe, isn't it, Guise of the Wolf? And I'm like, I'm never gonna play it again. But you know, the impact that it had, it will stay with me. Now for a game that should have been a lot better, but I hated with a passion, and I'm sure you've been waiting for this one. Ron knows exactly. I mean, he made a comment in the last stream when I said, like, oh yeah, we know which ones are going to end up in shite. Tomb Raider, you are going right at the solid bottom, and I don't care. You hate me or you will. This game had no element of fun for me whatsoever from the get-go. By the end of the first episode, I was thinking, this is going to be a drag, isn't it? This is going to make me want to tear my hair out. And every single episode was like that. All 10. Oh my God, it just caused me so much pain. It was unbearable. I was planning to go through, I was almost planning to like almost variate between Tomb Raider and Resident Evil, do like a Tomb Raider then Resident Evil, and a Tomb Raider then Resident Evil. But it was just, I hated it like so much. It was just so painful, and it just put me off. Like I'm gonna get into it again eventually. I'll load up Tomb Raider 2, but I'm definitely going to take my time with that. I feel like this is going to be a series I'm going to have to pre-record in advance to the point where I'm not like rushing to get episodes recorded. I'm just going to be like, okay, I've played 20 minutes. I'm fed up with it already. I'll come back to it once I've calmed down a little bit. But oh my God, just the gameplay mechanics were so difficult and so awkward, and it drove me up the wall. Like, I don't know. A lot of people love this game. A lot of people rave about this game. It's like, oh my God, one of the best games of all time. It might have been for 96 standard, but for me, it was just, I wanted to love it. I wanted to go into it just giving such like a tribute to the old games, you know, and give my love and show like, yeah, you know, I'm not all about just playing like noughties and games from the teens. I'm more than happy to expand into the 90s, and you know, Half-Life was great proof to me that games from the 90s were still really great. And the game I've not played yet, but I will at some point. Max Payne, the first one, I played a good portion of that as well, and I enjoyed that as well. But my God, Tomb Raider was just so much pain for me, and I can't put it any higher than that just because I did not enjoy it whatsoever. And I'm hoping that eventually when I get to the HD trilogy, and I know that they did, they remade, I think it was called Tomb Raider Anniversary, where they basically redid this story with enhanced gameplay and stuff like that. I'm hoping that I can enjoy the story more, because it's just overshadowed completely by my absolute vitriol towards the actual game, because I hated it so fucking much. But there we go. So neither here nor there. It's a game from the 80s. Like, oh dear. Yeah, you might have loved it. Just, oh God, it just caused me so much anguish. So next up is Resident Evil 2, which technically I never finished the Let's Play on this channel, but we did finish the game. It's just I've lost the last 2 episodes of the DLC. They're on the hard drive that is broken. Okay. Which we started on the February 9th, 2021, and this is automatically also going up to amazing, and I'm actually going to put it... I'm going to put it there. Such a good game. This is all the benefits of this game, being that I had such a great time playing with Matt and Ollie, plus the fact it is a really good game. Like this, it was just utterly, it was such a great experience. I love the style of this game. I love it still being 3D. Not sorry, 3D, buddy. Third person. Obviously, it's buddy 3D. And then, you know, collecting shit and stuff like that. Obviously, the fight, it got really tricky, like especially towards the end. And Matt's absolutely given me the amount of shit I deserve for how bad I was on my run and how many supplies I wasted compared to doing it with Ollie, who got through to the end despite it being harder. He had so many more supplies for taking down like G Stage 3 and everything like that. And then obviously Matt just absolutely flooring me with his run and everything like that. Yeah, my run was terrible for Resident Evil 2 in hindsight, my Leon A playthrough. But yeah, I had a great time with this, obviously, Mr. X as well. And that recurring joke of Mr. X gonna give it to you and everything like that. It was so much fun. It had the scares, it had the humour. We, you know, absolutely ripped it to shreds in some places, like with some of the acting was a bit corny, but you know, it was just such a great game, and yeah, we just had so much fun with this, and yeah, well, one day we'll finish Resident Evil 2. I'll get that hard drive fixed, but yeah, so yeah. Anywho, we now move on to another game that is currently ongoing, so I'm not going to rank, but we have basically finished it. It's Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which we started on March the 29th. And I actually really like Syndicate, to be honest. I think it's quite underrated. I'd probably put it in the top end of great. Let's see, where's the next Assassin's Creed? Black Flag. I put it below Black Flag. Then where's after that? It's above Unity, definitely. I'd say probably maybe around Arkham Asylum, probably about here. I think it carried across a lot of what Unity was doing. Obviously, that game was plagued with glitches and everything like that, and Syndicate didn't really. It has some glitches, but yeah, the storyline, again, it's nothing to really shout home about. It's nothing really compared to like the Ezio trilogy or Rogue or Black Flag or anything like that, because you are basically just going from one sequence to killing this Templar to killing that Templar. Very basic Assassin's Creed stuff, but I really like Jacob and Evie. They're very charismatic assassins. London's a great place to explore, and the perfect balance between, you know, the carts and the trains and everything like that. It's very alive. I think that's probably one of the most alive feeling Assassin's Creed games that they've done. And so yeah, I rate it quite a lot. It's a lot of fun, you know, and some of the side characters, obviously, everyone that just happened to live around the Victorian age is just pottering around London, buddy. Dickens and Darwin, yeah, you expect those two to be around. Then Karl Marx is there, you know, fair enough. And then Florence Nightingale and stuff like that, and obviously making friends with the Disraelis and everything like that. It's quite something, but yeah, it's still a very good game, and I have finished the entire story before, so I know what is coming, and I still think it has quite a satisfying-ish ending. It's more satisfying than the Unity one is, at the very least, but still kind of not amazing, but I haven't actually played the DLCs. I've not played The Last Maharaja or Jack the Ripper, so I can't do like a full comment on my thoughts of the game as a whole. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it, to be fair. And now we come to The Last of Us, which we started on July the 6th, 2021. We're nearly there, one game left. Of course, The Last of Us is going into the amazing category. Like, it really wouldn't not be up here. I'd say there. I'd say that's a fair enough point for The Last of Us, I think. Obviously, one of the greatest rated games of all time, probably the sort of magnum opus of Naughty Dog. Such a great game, such a great dynamic between Joel and Ellie. Ellie in particular being a fascinating character that I've really enjoyed getting to know across the game. And obviously, as I said a few times, I'd played like the first quarter of the game in my own time, like years ago, like as soon as I got the remastered edition, which was in 2014, and then I just I stopped playing because I had to prioritize other things, and it was like one I was very keen to get back to. But with the PlayStation 4 that I had, and it being the loudest beggar that I'd ever bloody known, I was like, I'm waiting until I get a new console before I play that game. So I waited until I got my PS5 to play that, because I just wanted that. I wanted to give that game like as much, love as it deserved, as being one of the greatest rated games of all time. And it totally sung. It was such a good game, it really was. And you can see like I was moved a lot in that game. There was a lot of stuff that was quite hard hitting and maybe emotional, and that the ending to the game as well had me like almost controversially like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, come on, like seriously. But at the same time, everything like that, it just made it that much more of an impactful game and stuck with me a lot. And then of course, not even to start talking about the Left Behind DLC, which was fantastic. Yeah, it was such a good game all around, and I will eventually get to The Last of Us Part 2. Just not quite at the moment. So yeah, I do have a few games planned before that, but I'm looking forward to whenever I do get back to it. And then we have, on September 13th, 2021, we have Little Nightmares, which I am going to put probably the lower end of great. Let's see, what's the next horror that I did on the list? Resident Evil, I suppose, if you want to call it horror. I'd say about here. I keep saying like I said. I appreciate what they were going for with this game, and there were good parts of this game that I did enjoy. And the plot twists again. Every good horror game has enough of them. But the mechanics sometimes were very iffy with me, and there was some sections that I got stuck on for a long time, and especially with how short that's a series that was, and there were so many episodes of that I ended up taking a lot longer to do. Naturally doesn't reflect well on my experience of the game. I just remember it being quite tricky in parts and stuff like that, especially like in that second level, which wasn't a great start, let's be honest. Like, I spend so much time on that level. It did annoy me in parts, but in the parts where I wasn't being constantly annoyed, I actually had a really good time with it. But yeah, I can't quite rate it as highly as the likes of Resident Evil or Until Dawn or Amnesia or Outlast kind of thing. But I still really enjoyed it, to be fair. And I will play Little Nightmares 2 at some point, just not too soon. And obviously that is it for every game that I've 100% done, although we do have 3 more games that I have started that I will give my brief views on. So starting off with our third oldest series, which is not old at all, which is starting on October 7th, which was Watch Dogs. I'm having a good time, honestly. Actually, I'm having a decent enough time with Watch Dogs. It's quite fun, especially now that I know what I'm doing. I'd probably put it at the moment kind of middle-ish, so I suppose maybe around this row. I'm not exactly sure where. I'm very early on into the game, and also have no idea what's coming for that. So I think this is one that I probably have the least amount of knowledge as to where this is going to go and where my overall thoughts are going to be for it. to be honest, one big part of the reason I went on the break as it was and did just carry on going on was because I'd actually recorded about 2/3 of the next Watch Dogs episode, as in the next thing that's due to upload. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do the next online thing, which is an online encryption, which is basically almost like a capture the flag, but you've got to hold onto some data for so long, and then you've got to basically protect it from other people, sort of thing. And I was legitimately playing that for about 2.5 hours, and I still hadn't done one game mode of that because I kept getting bloody wrecked with it. And eventually I was like, you know what, I give up, I'm going to do it eventually. And then I just never ended up doing it because I was just too preoccupied with work and life and everything like that. But I think the story as it is at the moment with Aiden and his associates sort of thing is decent enough, and the collectibles are fun and the side activities are fun. But I'm still way too early into it to really know what to make of it, because it's completely blind. I've never played the game before, so I don't even know what's coming or anything like that. So, yeah. So our second newest series is Life is Strange True Colours, which I started on October 21st, 2021. Again, I'm playing this blind. I'm most of the way through episode 2 before I went to my break. I do have like one complete episode that I've not uploaded because I did it back to back with the first one. I'd say at the moment it's definitely up in the great, near the top possibly. I definitely prefer it to Life is Strange 2, even though I'm like 2 episodes in, and yeah, exactly. Too bad the co-op didn't work out there. Decryption was it's just tough, isn't it? But yeah, True Colours, I'm having a really great time with so far. It's definitely a return to form for Life is Strange. Probably wouldn't put it up there with season 1 at the moment, although obviously that could change. We've still got 3.5 episodes to go yet. But it'd definitely be in the top row. I really love Alex as a character, and her power to detect people's emotions and feel them is also quite unique. As I said when I was talking about Life is Strange 1, I don't think anything's going to quite match the sci-fi nature of Max's ability to rewind time, and they're just sort of finding other powers, to keep sticking the Life is Strange's label on it. But I'm really enjoying it. Of course, the whole thing with Gabe and the other characters, and Mac and Steph and Ryan and everything like that. They're all really great characters, really easy to bond with. And yeah, I am really enjoying it. I can't wait to get back into that game as well. But obviously I can't really talk too much about it because I don't know what's coming up. So anyway, and then last but not least, the game we started on November 5th, 2021 was the Simpsons Game, and automatically I also think it's a great game. I'd probably put it at middling tier, probably down here. It is a game I completely know how to play. I've done it to 100% before, several times actually, and the bits you've seen so far, I've done up to level 6. I've done level 6 as well. Again, I caught that back to back with episode 5, so I've got that one on my computer ready to upload whenever I get back to it. So it's going to look quite disorientated when I come back, because you'll have some games where I acknowledge the fact that I've been on a break, and some that are just literally immediate continuations from the last one. So but yeah, I've completely played Simpsons Game. It's just about getting to the point that I really enjoy the game now, with the alien invasion, and then you end up going into like a sort of more meta games as well and stuff like that. It's just about to start getting really good, which makes it even more depressing, the fact that I decided to take my break when I was just about getting to the good part of it. But yeah, I think if you're a fan of The Simpsons and you've been liking the series so far, when I get back to it, you'll love where we end up going with that game. Anyway, we're done. I have now officially ranked every single 83 games over the course of 2 live streams that we've ever done on this channel. And I'm thinking, for future reference, I will continue doing this on probably a yearly basis. So it'll be like a thing I had on, because I'm not going to do one of those channel overviews like I did at the end of 2020. I'm not going to do that this year, just because I don't think there's an awful lot to talk about. And, most of my news isn't that optimistic, whereas going into this, we had a really great subscriber growth this year. Let's hope we smash like 500 by next year, and maybe even more than that, and then it's just like just about scraped to 400. So, yeah. And obviously, it'd be a bit weird for me to take a month break and then just be like, hey, everybody, let's talk about the year. And then it's like, oh, yeah, you took 2 massive gaps, one when I was doing my dissertation, and 2 when I was, overwhelmed with life as it was. But yeah, so that's basically my summary. Hopefully 2022 I'll be back soon enough, and we'll get back on the grind, and hopefully I'll pick up on a decent amount of subscribers and everything like that. But I think if I do decide to do one next year. Even if I don't, I'd probably do like a year in review of the games, and then I'll add them onto the bottom, and then I'll place them, and then gradually the list will just keep growing and growing as to where I think of all the games that we've played. So yeah, that's about it. I have nothing really more to say. How long we got? About an hour and a half. So that's not too bad considering the last one was 2.5 hours. So yeah, I think I was worked out perfectly that I said we're about 2/3 of the way through the thing, probably even more so. But yeah, so there you go. You can have a look. Let's have a look. So my overall rating of the games goes from my favourite being Red Dead Redemption 2, Red Dead Redemption, Life is Strange Season 1, Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Revelations, Batman Arkham Knight, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, Resident Evil 2 2019, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Batman Arkham City, The Last of Us, The Walking Dead Season 1, Saints Row 2, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, The Simpsons Hit and Run, Assassin's Creed Rogue, The Walking Dead The Final Season, and great, we have Bully Scholarship Edition, Saints Row the Third, Skyrim, Alien Isolation, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, Grand Theft Auto 5, Outlast, Uncharted 4 Thieves End, Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, Shadow of the Colossus, Half-Life 2, Batman The Enemy Within, Batman The Telltale Series, Batman Arkham Asylum, Amnesia The Dark Descent, What Remains of Edith Finch, Until Dawn, The Witcher, Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare, Grand Theft Auto 4, Resident Evil 2002, Uncharted The Lost Legacy, Batman Arkham Origins, Assassin's Creed Unity, Grand Theft Auto The Ballad Gave Tony, The Walking Dead Season 2, Life is Strange Before the Storm, I didn't say Before the True Colours then, Grand Theft Auto The Lost and Damned, Half-Life 2 Episode 2, Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception, Grand Theft Auto 3, Assassin's Creed 3, Half-Life 2 Episode 1, Uncharted Drake's Fortune, Half-Life, Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry, Journey, Heavy Rain, Saints Row 4, Little Nightmares, Half-Life Blue Shift, and then The OK, The Other Witch 2, Assassins of Kings, Saints Row Get Out of Hell, Life is Strange 2, The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit, Soma, The Walking Dead A New Frontier, Assassin's Creed, Outlast 2, Doctor Who The Edge of Time, The Walking Dead 400 Days, Half-Life Opposing Force, The Walking Dead Michonne, Amnesia Justine, Amnesia Machine for Pigs. In May, we've got Assassin's Creed Liberation HD and Half-Life Lost Coast, and then Shite, we've got Guise the Wolf, Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate, Half-Life Decay, and Tomb Raider 1996. Whew, it's been a busy year. It's been a busy year. Busy 5.5 years. 5.5 years? 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when I was putting these together, I was like, do I go for the like the logo, or do I go for the box? I was like, I'll go for the box art. I know the games that I'm talking about. But yeah, so it's been a busy 5.5 years, and hopefully long may it can continue. Hope to be back as soon as I can. I can't make a promise as to when that'll be, but I'll probably tweet about it, or maybe put a post on Patreon when I'm coming back. Sorry, it sounded like I was tearing up then, it's just because my throat was dry. But yeah, it might be some time. And I think when I do come back, I'll probably try and record a decent amount so that I'm not just back here and there. But like I said last time, if I do, I'll probably be coming off my schedule just because I don't like living up. I don't have to keep worrying about where I am. And it's like, oh my god, I've not recorded these episodes or that episode. I need to work on it. It's like, no, just take your time with it. Don't worry about it. That sort of thing. So thank you everybody for sticking around, and I hope you enjoyed these 2 live streams. Like I said, I'll be back as soon as I can. I can't make a promise as to when that will be, but hopefully it won't be too long. Hopefully before the end of January at the very least. So yeah, I hope I will see you around soon. Bye bye.